Live from Raleigh, North Carolina, it's time for finals from the USAU Pro Championships. We have a good one. Two title contenders, Denver Molly Brown and Raleigh Phoenix. Two teams, as we see, Kelsey Hayden, I'm Daniel Prentice. Two teams, Kelsey, that have been the top teams of the tournament all tournament long. Should be a good game today, we hope.
I'm so excited for this matchup. All weekend long, we've been watching really great games from Phoenix and Molly Brown. Molly Brown in particular has really dominated all of their matchups, and Phoenix has had some really grindy games. It's very exciting to see them match up against each other and see who can top.
Molly Brown undefeated to this point. You see their path through the bracket. Phoenix has had a bit of a bumpier road, but two impressive victories in the bracket as we see a dominant victory over Scandal. Kelsey, how has Phoenix looked to this point?
Phoenix has looked very solid, as you'd expect. This is a team full of athletes, and they're full of athletic plays. Phoenix did have a little bump in the road yesterday morning in their final pool play game. They lined up against Portland Schwa, and the game was a tight one. They had the lead for a lot of it, but they actually couldn't maintain the lead throughout the game. So Portland Schwa ended up beating them by, I believe it was 2 or 3. And, you know, it looked like a little falter in this Phoenix crew. Otherwise, they've looked excellent all weekend. This is their pool play game against Toronto Sixers. Another tight one where Sixers did take the lead early, but Phoenix, you know, really grinded. They had a great mental game. They had a huge game from Sarah Meckstroff, especially in the second half, and they ended up, you know, coming back from down 3 breaks, I believe, and winning it. So Phoenix has looked really strong. They look very resilient. They look like they use a lot of their team, and it looks like they're well prepared for this moment.
So not a flawless performance from Phoenix so far, but their heights have certainly been very high. They will have to hit those heights in order to win this one against a Molly Brown team who has looked nearly untouchable this weekend, Kelsey.
Yeah, Molly Brown has had quite a different path. They have gone relatively unchallenged throughout the weekend. They haven't had a game finish within 4 points. They've really looked clinical in their offense. They've been stifling in their defense, and things are really lining up quite well for the Denver team. Molly Brown, it'll be interesting to see if being relatively unchallenged throughout the weekend will affect this matchup, but right now they're firing on all cylinders and things are working out very, very well. They're using their big throwers, they're cutting at the right times, and I think they're going to be a really challenging matchup for Phoenix this morning.
Both teams have so much firepower, but you're right, Kelsey. Denver hasn't been tested in the same way that Raleigh has, but of course that is more so because of how well they have played. But now they match up against each other. First time this weekend. How are either of these teams going to end up on top, Kelsey?
So I've watched a lot of these teams this weekend, and I think there's a couple of things that they can focus on to really excel today. So Molly Brown, what they've been doing very, very well all weekend, and they need to continue in this game, is to take the right shots. They have a lot of big arms. They have a lot of capable throwers, but it's easy to let that get away from you and kind of take too many shots. But so far this weekend, they've made the right selection, and they've had a lot of success. They also need to have good transition D. They aren't always going to hold cleanly on their O-line, but they have very stifling defense. They're also trying a new red zone defense where they're playing a little more poachy and a little less person D. And so they need to really focus on that and make sure that they're putting the pressure. Phoenix, on the other hand, they need to really excel in this moment. They need to build the pressure throughout the game. They have a excellent D-line, and so they need to use that. And then they also need to recognize that this is a new experience for them. They need to enjoy it, and they need to play well and play to the moment.
You mentioned a new experience. This is their first appearance in a major Triple Crown Tour final. We'll see how they are up to the task. They start on defense in white, Molly Brown in those dark blues. And quickly moving the disc, we see Valeria Cardenas finding Lisa Pitt-Caithley on the far sideline. And it's Manuela Cardenas wriggling free. Both Cardenas twins playing with Molly Brown this year, fresh off of a world championship with Medellin Revolution. Forehand across. The face of the defense finds Valeria, and Molly Brown knocking on the door of an opening hold.
So far they're looking patient, they're looking steady. They don't seem overwhelmed by the moment. You know, Molly Brown has been here before, and they seem, prepared for this situation.
Pitt-Caithley now, as Molly Brown tries to find their way in for the opening score. Pitt-Caithley goes up high, looking for Valeria, but it's swatted away right at the last moment. Austin Pruka there defensively for Phoenix.
What an incredible defensive play to start this game. Way to fire up their team.
Pruka certainly capable of those big momentum-bringing plays, as we saw there. So resolute in the red zone are Phoenix. They get the game's first break opportunity. Jesse Jones swings it over to Pruka. That forehand off the fingers of Pruka, a little low, a little behind the target as well. Molly Brown takes back over. Tough one for Valeria, unable to reel it in while trying to toe the sideline. Tough reset in the middle of the field, but it does find Revere. But Revere throws into a Valeria interception, and now Molly Brown can fast break. Slowing it down a bit just outside the end zone, however. Rena Kawabata gets her first touch. Looking for any option now. There is none, and that's easily intercepted by Jones.
That was stifling D by Phoenix. You can see so many players trying to wiggle free, and they just couldn't.
Jones, immediate big forehand, looking for Sarah Mextroth with space. Not sure how she got so open deep. But Phoenix able to flip the field finally, and now looking to convert this break opportunity. Pruka open in the middle of the field. Quick continue to Mextroth for the score. So the impressive red zone defense from Phoenix finally pays off. They get us started with a break.
What a great start for this hometown team. They really put the pressure on, and Molly Brown could not move the disc up their field. As we talked about earlier, Sarah Mextroth is probably going to be a pretty big key to the game for Phoenix, and very impressive she got that many steps when everybody on this field knows that you need to watch her. Really nice put by Jesse Jones that just, got them 2/3 of the way, and then, pretty easy offense at the end there. A really great start for Phoenix.
And Kelsey, so many times, I mean, they get a few blocks in the end zone, and a couple of times not even able to clear their own red zone. but such a nice job to stay resolute. So Phoenix gets to send the D-line back out there. Good look at Mexstroth. The high-profile addition. Phoenix maybe a little more appealing to transfers this offseason after their big run last year, Kelsey. Adding Mexstroth and Cammie Groom, the two most high-profile additions, and saw Mexstroth already making her impact in this final.
Yeah, I think Phoenix would be a very appealing squad to join. I'll go if they'll have me. It's been really exciting, actually, to see all the shifts in the rosters this season. There's been a lot of big names, change clubs, and it's made for some really good matchups.
Pull caught by Claire Chastain. And that one too low for Knee Win, so another Molly Brown turnover. Alex Barnett and Tyler Smith in the backfield for Phoenix. Barnett bends that one over to the far side for Cable Strick. Nice snag by Barnett. That one not an easy one. Molly pushing Phoenix backwards. Strick initiates the give and go. I think the throw was for her. Caught by Mexstroth instead. Mexstroth pushes the forehand downfield. A lot of bodies in the area. Who comes down with it? Swatted to the ground by Chastain.
Yeah, I think that one might have been a little higher and a little floatier than intended. You know, there was a lot of time there. I think 5 bodies could get underneath, and that's never really the ideal scenario. But, you know, Molly Brown put a lot of pressure there to really make it difficult for Phoenix to move that disc up the field.
Throw from Alika Johnston behind Chastain. It's now a short field for Phoenix, looking for yet another break. Smith is able to get it off the sideline in the hands of Barnett now. Carmen Tormey looks for an option, gets it back to Barnett. And then to Mexstroth yet again. So Sarah Mexstroth racking up goals early. Phoenix racking up the breaks.
You know, we talked a little bit before the game about how Phoenix would need to step up to this moment, as it's not as a normal experience for them. They haven't been in this situation as often as Molly Brown, but it kind of looks like Molly Brown needs to step up to this moment. You know, they've really went relatively unchallenged throughout this weekend, and perhaps the added pressure they're feeling in this game is you know, a little overwhelming, a little much after having such easy rounds up to this point.
Will be so interesting to see how Molly responds to their first real bit of adversity this weekend. Of course, a team overall that is certainly not unfamiliar to these situations.
They can certainly tap into their collective experience over the years of these big moments and these big games they've been in. You know, they actually won this tournament last year, so it's certainly not unfamiliar territory, but it just might be a little shock to the system this morning as Phoenix has really come out hot.
Yeah, I just want to say, on the other hand, Kelsey, Phoenix couldn't have hoped to start much better than this.
Absolutely. Yeah, what a dream start to the day, and in your hometown as well.
They have had that hometown advantage all weekend long, of course. But Molly showing some uncharacteristic offensive miscues. That offense has been looking so impressive all weekend long.
Perhaps it was just a timeout and a few minutes to collect themselves is all they needed. It'll be interesting to see what look they come out with now, and hopefully, you know, they stay with their plan, because as we've said, their plan has looked great all weekend long. So, you know, just need to tidy a couple of things up and they'll be right back in this game.
It looks like they will rotate pretty heavily. Going to send a lot of D-line personnel out for this point to try to find something else that'll work a little bit better than we've seen from the standard offense the last couple points. Phoenix looking like they're rotating the D-line as well. They certainly will be comfortable with that all game long. They send several different D-lines out there, as it's Grace Connerly who rips down the pull. fielded by Alyssa Perez and center to Cassie Swafford. Sam Pelletier has the disc for Molly. Swings it back over to the far side for Perez. Nice forehand from Nelson, finds Ronnie Eder. And Eder is able to step around that break to find Swafford. Perez looking for the end zone just over the head of Mary Rippey, so the rotated line for Molly finds success. That's Rachel Wilmoth there to reel it in.
That is much more like the Molly Brown offense we've been seeing all weekend. Just very patient, looking for the right looks and you know, taking their time, not looking panicked. They were hitting all the throwers right in the chest, making it nice and easy for each other, and really nice touch and shape on that last throw to get it around the defender, so there was no chance, but only Molly Brown could get their hands on that disc.
Impressive point for Alyssa Perez. And you see the depth from Molly Brown. Of course, that is a staple for the teams at this level in the division. Just so many players that you can send out that have that necessary skill. Get a look at Wilmoth, a product of the Colorado women's team. Quandary, a program in its own right that has had plenty of success and has been a really nice feeder program for Molly Brown, of course. And so for the first time, Kelsey, we get a look at the Phoenix O-line.
Yeah, what a formidable lineup that is, you know, just seven fast, capable players that Molly Brown is going to have to go down and match up against.
Big pull from Molly. Powell fields in her own end zone, centers to Bridget Meisner. Meisner finds Cammie Groom to get her first touch of the game. I think a name we will likely be saying a lot. Audrey Lyman hopes to find Karen Earhart, but she's unable to make the grab, but really an unexplainable error from Molly Brown coming back the other way. Valeria Cardenas just not able to squeeze that one. Big gainer for Groom. Ashley Powell all alone. You don't usually see her in those downfield spaces, but certainly some defensive confusion from Molly. And Powell squeezes it through to Cammie Groom after the turnover. Phoenix get it back, and they do get the hold on their first possession of the game.
Yeah, that was a great point for Phoenix. There's been a lot of turns so far this morning. You know, Phoenix is looking great. They're obviously had a strong start, but both teams have had several turns already. A couple of that you would definitely not expect usually. I always find Phoenix just outside the end zone so interesting because they're very willing to do these very small, dishy passes, and it makes it so hard to guard. When you have people like Cammie Groom and Ella Youngst in the end zone just moving around so quickly, I pity the defense that is trying to slow them down.
It's 3 goals from Phoenix, all 3 scored by the 2 key additions. Groom scoring for the offense. And it's been so interesting seeing Cammie Groom on offense, Kelsey. I feel like we've talked about it all weekend, but of course a player we're very accustomed to seeing on the D-line, namely for Boston Brute Squad over the last several years.
That's the thing about this elite level, though. So many of the players in this game today are so well-rounded. They're two-way players, and I think the biggest problem they have is choosing what line to put them on because you want them on both. How do you pick where to put Cammie Groom? She's going to excel wherever you put her, and that's very obvious. You know, and there's so many other names on this roster who would be the same. Sarah Mextroff. on Molly Brown, Claire Chastain. How do you pick when you can't have her everywhere? It's hard. You have to pick somewhere, but there's no wrong answer, I would say.
Sweeping pass out to Chastain right on the sideline. And that's Megan Cousins, who continues the forward move. Knee win, a big gainer as well. Layout block comes up just short from Claire Revere, and now Molly Brown will have an easy punch in for the score. That's knee win there to reel it in.
I think we can safely say that Molly Brown has, found their footing and are playing like themselves now. It's a great, easy point for them. Really a nice layout attempt by Claire Rivera, but relatively unchallenged down the field. Found all the looks that they wanted to.
Yeah, Phoenix just not ever quite able to find their footing on that point. Some easy unders. Pretty easy flow as we get a look at a new addition to the coaching staff for Denver Molly Brown. That was Andy Lovesith, of course, very famously the head coach of Seattle Riot for a very long time. Really interested to see what his ultimate mind can help add to this Molly Brown squad.
What a great squad to join, with the depth of talent already. It would be a joy to coach.
And a look at Lindsay Sue as well. Sue on the coaching staff for Phoenix this year, rather unfortunately after suffering an ACL injury. Multi-Worlds Player of the Year a year ago, a big miss for this Phoenix squad, but they certainly still have hopes with the talent on that team of winning a national title. But you do kind of wonder how much higher could this team go if Sue were able to contribute on the field.
Absolutely. It must feel good to at least have her on the sideline supporting and helping them and teaching along the way.
Big layout block attempt from Ronnie Eder, comes up just short. Groom a little more separation this time to get open from Katie Backus. Big drop, though, looking to sacrifice a lot of yardage, and it's an inaccurate pass. Groom looking to dump it back to Meisner, but a pretty unexcusable error there from Groom.
Yeah, I think Molly Brown did do a good job of making every option look deeply unappealing.
Pelletier finds Swafford as Molly Brown looks to get one of these two breaks back. Couple of tight inside forehand completions. Nelson has it just outside the end zone. She's going to bend the forehand to the far side for the successful connection. Eder there for the goal. Molly Brown levels it back up.
What a beautiful throw that was. Just the vision to see Eder in the back corner and to bend it just perfectly to drop right in her hands. Really nice execution there by Nelson. Also worth mentioning, on both sides of the disc, there were so many close calls with layout Ds or block attempts, and I think that's going to really be the theme of the day, is that it's going to be tight throws, it's going to be small windows, and it's because both these teams are very capable defensively of putting that pressure on.
You got to look at that turnover from Groom. Not sure if that was just a lack of focus, but really a tough way to turn the disc over, not only giving possession up, but also throwing it back the way Molly is trying to head.
Mm-hmm.
And with this break in points, we get a look at today's weather. 75 degrees, but it certainly feels warmer than that thanks to that high humidity level. Been a hot weekend, all holiday weekend. I'm sure these two teams probably thankful to have gotten the morning game today, Kelsey.
Definitely. By midday, it's nearly unbearable down on the turf. Did notice, too, that the wind is very low, and that has been the case all weekend. So we've seen very little zone defense from teams, a lot of person matchup, because the conditions have been quite favorable in regards to wind.
But it will be interesting to see if if the heat out there becomes a factor, particularly later in this game. Alex Barnett finds Ellie Jungst to get Phoenix started. Audrey Lyman line drives a backhand deep. That's too low for Groom.
I think she was probably hoping to put a little more air under that one so Cami Groom could run onto it, because she certainly had the steps in the space.
It'll be Valeria to pick up for Molly. Gorgeous forehand from Valeria, finds McCaithley in a lot of space. She's going to bend a forehand deep as well. Just outside the end zone are Molly Brown, and it doesn't take much longer for Cousins to find Kristen Reed. Molly Brown gets it back on serve.
And that is efficiency. That is the exact kind of offensive efficiency from the D-line that we have seen all weekend from Molly Brown. You know, Valeria, probably the most dangerous thrower in the game, really opens up the entire field. And then, you know, an easy pass, a couple of easy passes, a nice shape on the throw from Lisa P., and they made that look so easy.
You don't expect to see a player guarded by Sarah Meckstroth have that much space. But just a 3-throw possession for Molly Brown to go the full field. You have to think, Kelsey, that Phoenix will be a little frustrated with that defensive effort from their O-line.
Yeah, they can't be too happy about that one. By the time the goal was punched in, I think most of Phoenix was still behind the disc, which is not the ideal strategy.
And we mentioned the heat before that last point. Teams taking a heat timeout now. And we would like to thank Breakmark for their help in providing us with our live coverage this weekend. Breakmark giving away 1,000 free reversibles. They are on a mission to give those away. That's right, 1,000 free reversibles. Help them achieve their goal and earn entry into a contest for a fabulous team prize. Breakmark wants to give away over 1,000 free reversibles this fall. Find out how at breakmark.com. So first heat timeout, Kelsey. Earliest stages of this game, 2 breaks apiece. Do we see any themes developing early in this one?
You know, I thought at the beginning that we might have a case where Molly Brown just wasn't prepared after not being challenged, but we can easily put that to rest now. They've definitely, you know, come up to the challenge and found their footing. I think both teams have had 4 turnovers each. That's not small, and most of the turnovers, if not all, have been relatively unforced. Just bad throwaways, turfed throws, some drops that we're not used to seeing. So hopefully both teams can tidy that up. You know, they've both converted on 2 out of 3 breaks, so that's a great percentage. And you know, I think this is going to be a game of inches. This is a tight matchup, and I suspect it will be tight the whole way through.
And Molly, you mentioned the turnovers, Kelsey. Molly's feel especially punishing, a couple of them coming in the red zone.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a lack of focus on the throws or just putting them a little behind the player, or this one here from Groom, you know, just have the wrong edge on that it just fades out of bounds immediately. But I think there's a little tidying to be done on both sides.
Perhaps some pressing or jitters early, of course. Both these teams looking to wrap up the regular season with a big tournament win.
Yeah, it's a great way to go into fall series, feeling prepared from a weekend like this. If you can come out with the gold, then you're going to feel a little more confident heading into the fall.
Good answer from Molly, though, after going down early. It did look like Phoenix might have a repeat of their semifinal performance over Scandal, where they just ran absolutely rampant.
Yeah, I think that really speaks to Molly's resilience and their mental fortitude, that they were able to call the timeout, collect themselves, and then come out firing on all cylinders.
And mental fortitude, Kelsey, something that I think has been perhaps a weakness of this team at points in their modern history. I've seen them come up short so many times in that semifinal round in various ways. But really curious to see if, you know, with the talent on this team, if they can finally get over that hump this year. Feels like maybe the best chance they've ever had, and I'm sure they'll be thankful for this test against a Phoenix team who's looking to do the same. Phoenix, though, now has to get this offense figured out. Nothing open early for Ashley Powell. She turns to find Meisner, just an ever-present option on that reset. Nothing open at all downfield, though, until Karen Earhart gets free. Low one from Earhart. That throw not on target. No chance for Lyman. So the offensive miscues continue for Phoenix.
And offensive miscues that I think were largely caused by very high defensive pressure by Molly Brown.
Early big backhand from Johnston, looking for Chastain. Nice defensive play from Groom. Not sure if she got a hand on it, but just being so tight to Chastain, I think enough to prevent that grab.
What a fun matchup to watch, though.
Certainly. That reset not near enough for Powell, and now Molly Brown has a short field to work with. The little flip to Taggart. And she swings the forehand to Chastain. Molly Brown knocking on the door. Just outside the end zone is Khalil Phillips. The forehand just over the top of the defender, but over the top of Henderson as well. Looked like that throw might have just worked, but a little too much float at the end of its flight.
Yeah, I wonder if the thrower actually just saw the defender coming in and made the slight adjustment trying to get it over, and then unfortunately overthrew her receiver as well.
And that's 2 turnovers from Phillips now. Phillips, a product of the Triangle area youth scene, so playing against a lot of players she's certainly familiar with. That throw so low but saved. No, Earhart unable to make the play. Just nothing doing for Phoenix right now offensively.
I really thought she made that play. That was very, very close.
That's easy for Phoenix as Taggart gets free from Powell. Easy find for Chastain, and now Molly, all of a sudden, they're on a run.
Yeah, I think you can't really give too many opportunities to either of these teams so close to their end zone. They are going to convert.
Kelsey, you mentioned that one of Phoenix's goals was to build defensively, but right now it's been Molly Brown that's doing that.
Yeah, I would say that Molly Brown is really finding their stride with the defensive pressure they're putting on. They're playing very good team defense, helping each other out, poaching in the right ways, and putting pressure that Phoenix is not quite able to handle just yet. And I would say Phoenix's defensive pressure started very strong and has been plateauing or going down throughout the match.
Getting a good look at the way Molly has forced those turnovers from Phoenix, giving themselves multiple opportunities to get that break, and they needed them. Saw how close Earhart was to save that low one. But if you keep giving a team like Molly Brown the short field, they're going to punch it in eventually.
Absolutely. Can't put it on a platter and expect them not to eat.
So now Phoenix, all of a sudden, they're the team that's a little desperate to get a foothold back. So far, just the one goal from their O-line, so they need to figure something out. They do send the defensive personnel out. Perhaps that is the answer. It worked for Molly Brown earlier.
As we said, they have such capable players on O and D that they can definitely mix it up when needed.
Big gainer from Barnett to Revere. Revere loves the continued forehand. She's looking deep for Julia Zorzinski, and she chases it down. That's how you do it, Phoenix. They end the Molly run.
That's a huge statement play too. You know, that was an extremely easy offensive hold and a beautiful finish to really fire up your team and get yourselves going.
Claire Revere, the type of player you almost know when she gets that big under gainer to the forehand side that she's going to send it deep. Zwerzinski up to the challenge of tracking it down. Jay-Z, they call her, has been one of the big breakout players for this team this year, Phoenix.
She's had an absolutely stunning weekend. She's really done everything right on both sides of the disc, and I think that we talk a lot about big names on both these rosters, and we maybe don't say her so often, but she's really played well this weekend and contributed a lot to this Phoenix team.
So the D-line goes out there, takes care of business for Raleigh, able to flip that possession back, put the pressure back on Molly Brown. So all defenses really to this point, Kelsey, certainly been a struggle for both O-lines.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think this could be a game of runs or momentum, but so far, you know, we've seen each team go on a little spurt of good points, and hopefully they can each maintain the level throughout the game.
Looks like we might have an offside call. Looks like it is against Molly Brown, though, so Phoenix with a chance to set up defensively. Not typically the team you see being called for offsides on a pull.
Yeah, you don't see that very often. That's quite unusual. Just a little too excited to get going.
Valeria has the forehand stuffed, but comes back around to the backhand for her sister. Manu finds Kawabata. Kawabata throws low, but it's saved by Pick Caithley. Nice grab under pressure. Reed turns, look for a reset, comes back, finds Manu. Manu took Willaria between a couple of defenders. I think you have to credit Amanda Murphy for pulling out of that one. That could have been a dangerous play. Instead, it is a clean hold for Molly.
That was such a classic Molly Brown point with a really nice save of possession by Lisa P. And then the Cardenas sisters just breaking their marks with beautiful throws and squeezing one in at the end. Just a real exciting one to watch, a really nice offensive hold.
Are there a pair of players more fun to watch through the disc than the Cardenas twins, Kelsey?
No. Objectively, no. They're some of the most fun players to watch in the entire game in every way. They're such a joy to watch. They play so well together. Their throws and their athleticism is just nearly unmatched, I would say.
It's great to see them both playing in the USAU season, of course. Both of them just winning a gold medal with Medellin Revolution at the World Ultimate Club Championships in Cincinnati.
It's been a big summer of Ultimate. You know, they played with Team Columbia at the World Games, and then just a couple of weeks later played at Club World, and now they're here playing USAU.
We see the one goal, the one block, and the one turn from Willaria, but a team stat. We've harped on the depth of both of these units throughout the start of this game. Kelsey, 6 goals scored from Molly Brown, 6 different goal scorers, 6 different assisters.
And if that doesn't speak to the depth and the talent on this roster, I'm not sure what does.
So the unit that has really struggled for Phoenix back out, that starting O-line, and see if they can find any sort of rhythm. Saved by Meisner, that'll help. Cami Groom gets open for the under. But as we've seen so often from Phoenix, they're just not able to turn those gainers into quick disc movement. Molly Brown so stifling, slowing them down. And that just Kind of a lazy pass from Lyman. Misses its target, and Earhart. And another unforced turn there from Phoenix. Chastain works hard for just a little bit of separation from Groom. And now Molly looks to work it down the sideline. We have a pick that brings play to a stop. That was nice work by Taggart to make that grab while staying aware of where the line was. Johnston finds Chastain with the forehand. She bends a backhand. Backus in the area defensively, but it's Wynn who goes up and gets it. Big play from Knee Wynn and Molly Brown asserting their dominance here in the first half.
That was huge. The defender definitely had position early on, and the receiver just went up and took that disc. Said, no, it's mine. Really nice put by Claire Chastain. Visionary throw, something we obviously always expect from her. What an excellent point to really secure the feeling that you're running this game.
Again, we see the unforced turn from Lyman to give Molly this opportunity. And boy, Backus certainly had positioning. And Kelsey, you described the throw as visionary. Maybe visionary in the way that she just ignored the presence of Backus, just trusting Wynn to go make the play. Yes. So Molly, after going down 3-1, now on a 7-1 run, or 6-1 run, excuse me. A 7-1 run would send them to half with a big 8-4 advantage.
Yeah, this is a big point for both teams. If Molly Brown can get the break, that will be really comfortable lead going into the second half. Not the most comfortable, Phoenix is very capable of coming back, but you want as much padding as possible. And Phoenix, I think, probably recognizes the importance of this point to not send it to half early.
And that connection for the Molly goal was Claire Chastain's second assist and Knee Wynn's second goal. Wynn, another player from the Colorado Quandary program. So many of those players coached by Chastain, who's been the head coach of the team for a number of years now. Good work so far from Phoenix. Again, this is the line we've seen just play much better for Phoenix. They had a couple of breaks early and had their most recent hold. It's been the O-line unit that has struggled so mightily. Forehand, losing control of it is Smith. I think she wanted to put that one more to space from Extroff. Instead, it's knocked down to the ground by Eder.
Yeah, that one kind of went to Eder's breadbasket.
Perez finds Wilmoth on the far side. Molly hunting that break for that big 8-4 lead at half. That throw, I think, slipped out of the hand perhaps, but it ends up working out. Forehand from Eder to Valeria, and then the easy continue to the end zone, finds Liza Minor. Molly running rampant into halftime.
Liza Minor just had miles of space on her defender, and really great to see her back out there after she had sustained an injury a couple of years ago. And while it was mostly during pandemic times that she was injured, she's looking great. Has just made such well-timed continuation cuts.
So Phoenix will head to the break looking for answers. Got off to such a great start, but Molly Brown goes into the intermission on an 7-1 run. I keep trying to give them credit for one more goal, Kelsey, but a 7-1 run for Molly into half. Will be interesting to see how they are able to respond. We're going to take a quick breather.
last 50 years have seen a lot of positive change.
Around a whole range of important issues.
And some things remain reassuringly unchanged.
Like the spirit of our game.
Ultimate is 50 years young
and still a perfect circle
of fair play,
athletic pursuit,
and camaraderie.
In fact, Ultimate was a social network
before social networks even existed.
Respetamos nuestras diferencias
and understand the value that they add.
The revolution of the disc in flight continues to prove
that there's nothing we can't achieve
when we
pull together.
Long live Ultimate!
Larga vida Ultimate.
Long live Ultimate.
Hawk from Cardenas and brought in.
So we see the point block from Sadler.
Yoshida puts it up. I think Joe gets just a piece of that.
Back into the backfield, now airs out the forehand for Narayan. Wide goes right back to Stern, who saves it this time. Another layout from Nazarov. And she's going down the line to Lee, and she's able to hang on. Chased and saved by Sophie Holbert. That one popping up over her head. Now looking for Sadler in the end zone. She makes a great grab as well.
Opening up the deep space for fourth, and a beautifully placed throw from Normile. And another big forehand goes up from Normile. Carolyn Torquist with lots of separation. And it eyes up the deep space, and it drops in. Ticknor able to find room to put up a deep throw to Swafford. Tina Ishmael immediately rocketing a forehand to the end zone for McKeon. They head spike it.
Johnson gets up over Johnson. Slam dunk after the rise.
Great layout block from Gina Ticcone.
A big layup block, Anna Nazarov. Kane with the massive bid. Now Lang trying to bend around everybody and does. Chesky able to high point the rainbow. He's going to air out. We are back from the WRAL Soccer Complex in Raleigh, North Carolina, and our own Kelsey Percy is on the field with Phoenix head coach David Allison.
In the first half, but then Molly really rose up and went on a run. I'm sure there's a lot of things going in your head in terms of preparation, but anything that you like about what your team is doing so far and anything that you're looking to change?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's clear that we're applying pretty good defensive pressure. Obviously, we just need to get the D-line back on the field, and we're going to make a few offensive adjustments to give us an opportunity to get back in the game.
Any players that you think are really shining so far and that we should keep an eye out for out in the audience for the rest of the game?
Yeah, I mean, like Sarah Mextroth is an outstanding player. Austin Pruka had a great first point, kind of driving our offense from the defensive standpoint. So both of those players are playing great for us.
So nice for you that a little bit of a hometown advantage. I know we got some fans in the stands. Has it made a difference for you for this being a hometown tournament?
Maybe heat acclimation is, I think, the one thing that we probably have an advantage over some of these teams that are not quite used to the heat-humidity combo that exists in North Carolina in September.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, David, thank you so much. Get you back. Thank you so much. Get you back to your team.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you, Kelsey. Thank you, Coach David Allison, as well. Kelsey, rough going in the first half for Phoenix. They got off to that good start, the 2 breaks on the opening points of the game, but it's really been all Molly Brown since then.
It really has. You know, we talked before the game about Phoenix rising to the occasion and this not being a usual circumstance for them, and certainly something that's going to happen more and more in the future as they really develop as a program. But I think over half, I would guess that they probably discussed just being present in the moment and taking the extra half second before throwing those throws, before you know, making the decisions. Because right now they just look a little rushed, they look a little uncomfortable, and we know that they're better than that. So hopefully they've been able to collect themselves and be able to get themselves back in this game.
It'll be a tough task to figure things out for the O-line, who struggled so mightily. What can they do differently, Kelsey? I mean, we saw them make some unforced errors, obviously having to deal with a lot of pressure from Molly Brown as well, but I think this is a unit that would expect to perform much better against that defense from Molly.
Absolutely. I wish I had some strategic answer, but it really seems to come down to execution. You know, they're just not making they're making throwing errors and that we just never see them make. And I think that they need to just be calm. They need to trust their systems. They're very capable players, and I think they just need to execute. It really is that simple, which is a very tough one because as a coach or as a captain, what do you say? You know, you need to throw and catch better. And you know, you could see some of them getting lots of throws and catches on the sideline and on the field through half, and perhaps they're just trying to refocus themselves and play the way they know they can play.
And to their credit, we have seen the comeback ability from Phoenix, down 8-5 at half against Sixers in pool play. They'll have to tap into some of that level to get back in against Molly.
Oh, there's no doubt that this Phoenix team is able to rise to the occasion. They certainly have all the pieces that can allow for a huge comeback. So I think it will be a big second half, and I think Molly Brown should be prepared to weather a storm coming from Phoenix.
And Phoenix O will have a chance right out of the half to improve upon that performance. They do start with the disc. Sounds like we're under a minute away from getting play back underway. Both teams ready on the sidelines.
Yeah, I think Molly Brown just needs to play the game they've been playing. You know, they've looked great. They're making all the right decisions, the right cuts. They look loose, they look happy, and I think that that's the right mentality going into this second half. Just play Frisbee the way they know they can.
We got to look at Hybrid sitting in the bleachers getting ready for their game coming up. You'll be able to watch that one on UltiWorld Live as well later today. And we are back underway in the second half of the women's final of the Pro Championships. Ari Nelson sends it down to Ashley Powell. Lyman hits Earhart, but this has been what we've seen from Phoenix and the Molly Brown defense, to be fair. Just not a whole lot of open cutters underneath. There's a nice inside backhand from Lyman to find Backus. Molly Brown into the red zone. Groom drops it back to Lyman. Powell has it in the middle. Some stagnation in the stack, but just a couple of open throws in the middle for for Phoenix, and then they continue into that Molly defense right up the gut. Cami Groom there for the Phoenix goal.
That is absolutely the hold that they needed to stay in this game. I will say that Phoenix, while that was a clean hold and it looked good, they seem more hesitant to hit things that they normally would hit. You know, Ellie Jungst had steps there and they looked her off, and I wonder if they're second-guessing themselves after a rough first half.
Turnover free, though, to start, surviving some pretty tough defensive pressure early in the point, especially. We'll see if that can help the Phoenix offense build a bit of confidence.
You could start to see the Molly Brown look that they've been doing in the red zone a lot, which is very poachy, and you know, in a moment when most teams look to do very hard person defense, Molly Brown has really looked to do more team D, and so far it's been quite effective this game.
But as a result of the offensive struggles in the first half, now it is really a tough order for this Phoenix D-line. But I think they have a lot of confidence in that unit, and when they're winning games, it's usually because they are playing well. See Allison talking with his O-line, still trying to fine-tune to make sure they don't give up any more breaks to Molly Brown. They cannot afford to fall further behind. Taggart and Johnston in the backfield for Molly. Slow moving so far. Chastain survives the bid from Lila Stanland. Former college teammates, those two. And Pakaithley pops the forehand up in the air, looking for the end zone. Pruka patrolling, and it's intercepted instead by Mextroff. Big defensive play for Phoenix to save the score. And Jones goes deep right away, looking for Mary Rippey. She has plenty of space, makes the grab relatively easily. And Phoenix now in the plus half the field, and Stanley rips the big forehand, but that's too far for Mextroff. Mextroff pulling up, and I think that disc was destined for landing out of bounds, just a little bit too far from Stanley.
What a play by Mextroff to get that possession back, though. I don't know why Molly Brown would think to ever challenge Mextroff in the deep space. I know she came over to help, but if she's in the area, she's probably coming down with it.
Unable to come down with the pass from Steinland, however. And now Taggart looks deep right away. Knee Win is back there. But that disc tailing away from her, not allowing her to make a play on the disc.
I said earlier that the teams were being a little hesitant with their shots sometimes, and I can confidently say that's not the case anymore.
0 for 3. Two teams combined on those long looks so far at this point. Big gainer for Revere. And again, that forehand side, looking for Mextroff, and that is on the money. What a beautiful throw from Claire Revere. And on their first chance of the half, Phoenix gets the break.
Just like you said earlier, the second Revere caught that disc over on that side and we saw Mextroff going, I knew it was a 100% chance that throw was going up, and it was certainly the right choice. What a great rundown by Mextroff, and a really nice shape on that throw by Claire.
That's twice we've seen those two connect like that. See the hook from Taggart. You can see why she took the look. Wynn certainly had space, but not the pass it needed to be. That one, however, from Revere, an absolute dime.
Sarah Mextroff, just an absolute powerhouse this weekend and today as well for Phoenix. You know, she just really gets it done on both sides of the disc. She gets up and gets that D, the help D. Like I said, if she's in the area in the deep space, then you should absolutely not throw it. Then she can run down every disc on the other side as well, and just a really talented addition to this roster who's played a huge role so far this season.
3 goals in this game, but she has been a top performer all weekend long. Take a look at that earlier interception, getting up over the pile. Mextroff is such a complete player. She's been a goal scorer in this one and a block getter. Been great to see her playing in the women's division after being a star for Minneapolis Dragon Thrust for so long, who is one of those teams we will see in the final later on. Phoenix certainly thrilled to have added her this year. And her impact getting Phoenix a little bit closer in this one. A little iffy from Sayoa. Lost her looking for Valeria. Valeria, no doubt in her mind, she wants to go deep. Looking for Lisa Pakaithley. A little bit too high. Claire Bidigary Curtis there defensively for Phoenix to make sure it wasn't easy for Pakaithley. Phoenix has another chance.
It was a great job by the defender to go up early and force Lisa P to go up early as well. Really made sure that she didn't have a play on that disc.
It's Smith starting the possession for Phoenix. She centers to Kayla Strick. Hand block from Pakaithley. She gets one back on Bidigary Curtis. And now it's a short field for Molly Brown. Valeria hammers, but that one not on target. So rare you see a throwing mistake like that from Valeria, but Phoenix survives the scare.
Yeah, just a little too much on that one. Just really not able to make a play.
Disc back in play with Smith to start again. Really tight coverage from the Molly Brown defense. Dawn Colton looks deep. A couple of players in the area, but intercepted. Lisa Pakaithley making another play.
What a point for Lisa P.
Molly Brown has slowed it down. It's all been passes between Pakaithley and Valeria in the backfield. And Lisa P will call timeout. Molly Brown struggling offensively, but Lisa P with some big plays, keeping them in it.
You know, it's interesting. Before the game started, I said that the keys to the game for Molly Brown was for them to take the right shots and play tight defense after the turnover. And I think they're doing one half of that very, very well right now. They're playing very stifling defense, but I do think they could be a little bit more selective with the shots that they're taking, both teams, in fact. And so I would guess that maybe during the huddle they're going to say, calm down, take the shore throws. You know, we're getting open, and we don't need to push things and gamble.
There's the first defensive play from Pakaithley after the first Molly turnover, stuffing Bidigary Curtis. You know, Kelsey, you talked about the wrong shots. That one seemed open, and just kind of shocking to see Valeria Cardenas miss that throw. Usually when you see her going to the hammer, it's almost a guaranteed completion.
Huge rip by Lisa Pakaithley there to get the possession back again, and now they have another chance. You know, Lisa's really all over the field right now.
Pakaithley been such a big performer for this Molly Brown team for so long after moving over from San Francisco Fury a number of years ago. I think in a lot of ways is just such a perfect embodiment of what this Molly Brown team has been. One of the great personalities of our sport.
Absolutely.
Right at the timeout, Pakaithley resets back to Valeria. Valeria bombs the forehand, looking for her sister. A pair of defenders giving chase, but Manu has positioning all the way. What a throw from Valeria Cardenas.
That was stunning. I don't know why I would ever expect any less, but it still shocks me in the best way possible every single time she puts up a bomb like that. And then, of course, she's going to throw it to her sister. You can't ask for a better receiver. And what a combination of those two are on the field.
We said earlier, Kelsey, that Valeria and Manu, two of the most fun throwers to watch in all of Ultimate, in very different ways. But that forehand bomb from Valeria, just absolutely perfect.
The power that she can generate from a standstill huck is just phenomenal. If anyone ever wants to learn to throw, I highly recommend watching Valeria videos to improve your fundamentals.
I almost feel like you're setting people up to be disappointed, though, Kelsey.
Yeah, you won't do it, but you can try.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit more than form working for Valeria. We see her second assist. Not been a clean game from her, a couple of turns as well, but with throws like that, it feels like anyone can be open at any spot on the field at any time for Molly. It's such a huge weapon. Absolutely.
Literally every area on the field is dangerous, so it really makes defense a tall, tall task.
So Phoenix unable to get really anything going offensively on their couple of break chances, so the onus back on the offense to keep them in the game. And there, another error in the reset space. Easy look from Powell to Meisner, and it's just thrown right into the ground. Short field for Molly. Pelletier to the back of the end zone for Wilmoth, and that is an easy break for Molly. Again, the mistakes from Phoenix coming back to haunt them. Yeah, that one was way too easy, and if you're Phoenix, you're really going to want to take that one back. You can't be handing over those things. Molly is now at 10, only 5 points away. It's, you know, when Phoenix lined up against Sixers a couple of days ago, one of the things the Sixers did was really take away that reset space, and it caused Phoenix to struggle early in the game, and it really feels like Molly Brown is using the same tactic. Phoenix is just unable to make some clean, easy resets. And Kelsey, what caused that as a player? I mean, I would think, you know, when you've had so many mistakes like that, you really would be focused on cleaning that up, but we see it time and time again from this Phoenix O-line. You know, sometimes when you try to focus too hard on something, it almost makes it worse, because now, you know, you've had some turnovers, you've thrown it away, and you've dropped it, and now you're thinking way too much about things that are actually just muscle memory for you. So I do wonder if they're really getting in their own heads, and as the disc is coming, they're saying, don't drop it, don't drop it. And the second you have that thought, your chances of dropping it really just skyrocket. So, you know, it's a mental game. This is a mental challenge for Phoenix now. This is the experience that they need to build as a program and to improve as players, and so this is a really great opportunity for them, and they need to rise to the occasion. Molly Brown, just far too good a team to be gifted those chances. They're going to earn their own break opportunities. But if you hand them out, they'll take them. Certainly, and they have been punishing with them as well. Some quicker early disc movement from Phoenix this point. Powell is all alone. Big gainer. Meisner finds Earhart with the forehand. That throw inside, but saved by Groom. Great work from Bridget Meisner. Finds the advantageous position on the field. Uses that flow to find Lyman there. A much-needed clean hold from Phoenix. Yeah, that's a confidence booster for sure. They did that pretty easily. They weren't super challenged along the way, and they need that quick hold so they can get back out there and try to get one of those breaks back. Lyman, a bit of an underrated player on this Phoenix team. Joined the team a couple of seasons ago from the West Coast, but doesn't get a lot of as much praise as a lot of the players, the more well-known names, but it's such a key part of that offense when it's playing well. You know, when you have these teams like Phoenix and Molly Brown where you're just full of stars, it's hard for everybody to get the credit that's due, but I think one thing to always keep in mind is that these stars, these top players become top players because of who they're facing off with in practice and who they're working with, you know, off the field. And these teams are full of very capable players. Even the names you may not know are contributing in big ways to this team. And that can be said for both squads, absolutely. You know, there's just so much depth in these rosters, and it makes it really challenging that when you're defending, if one player is not having their best game, they can really rely on other people, and you can't just shut down one person and expect to succeed. Pull goes down from Stanland. Caught by Valeria and gets it right back from Lostra. That throw low, but Pitcaithley is able to make the grab. Quick disc movement from Molly. Boy, that was incisive. Excellent O point from Molly Brown.
Yeah, on the flip side, Molly just did it quite easily as well. And if they're going to have easy holds like that, this is going to be an easy rest of the game for them. You know, Phoenix needs to add that pressure. They need to make those plays. There's not a lot of time to let Molly Brown just cleanly hold it unchallenged all the way down the field.
Not much defensive resistance at all from Phoenix. Really is not ever able to get set in matchup D.
No, that was great flow by Molly Brown to just take advantage of the steps that each player had and really just never let Phoenix catch up. They just never really got to set a mark once that first throw went out.
And another quarterback-like performance on the point from Valeria Cardenas.
You know, we have a player in Halifax that is really, really good, and we call her Glitch. And I think that Valeria is kind of a glitch to the system as well. She really, you know, opens everything up. She makes every space on the field accessible. She throws decisively. She cuts hard. And what a joy it is to watch her just put up these bombs for her teammates, you know, for her sister. Just a deadly combination with Valeria on the disc and Manu running down the field. And so quick, so decisive, so effective.
And it really does feel like this summer we're seeing the best we've ever seen from Valeria as well as Manu. Both such key figures on that gold medal run for Revo. Both champions in the PUL as well with Revolution. So,
and both so young.
Yes, still so young. It really kind of blows the mind. They've been really playing elite level Ultimate since they were 15, 16 years old. But it does very much feel like the summer of the Cardenases. So we have a pick call. Phoenix quickly on the plus half of the field. Disc is back in with Groom. Meisner, nice break throw, finds Lyman, and the quick continue to the end zone. A bit of late pressure, but not enough to disrupt Cami Groom for the score.
I was just going to comment during that pick call that Eder and Groom is a really fun matchup to watch. Eder known for really shutting down her player, and Groom known as one of the fastest women in Ultimate. But Groom takes the edge there, you know, just her speed with that upline cut, just too much for Eder to keep up with.
And it was that really nice throw from Meisner to open up that opportunity.
Yeah, that's the kind of execution that Phoenix is going to need. They're going to need to be decisive, sure, and just do what they know they can do. So they're definitely looking good these past couple of points, but it's really going to come down to adding that defensive pressure and slowing Molly Brown down.
And we see Groom will be pulled over for a D point as well. You mentioned a couple points ago that Phoenix running out of time a little bit. I think maybe they are feeling it. Gonna have to start stacking those D points.
As they say, defense wins championships, and so you really need to stack your D-line and try to get it done.
And I typically don't buy into that necessarily, Kelsey, really? in the sports where it's most often said, but it's undeniably true and ultimate.
Yes.
The number of games you're winning without getting a single break is very, very small.
Absolutely.
Number 14,
There's another big pull from Stanland. Phoenix not getting down super quickly, though. Again, Molly Brown getting to midfield pretty easily. Now a big hug looking for Julia Schmaltz, but Cami Groom is there to make the play defensively.
That was huge.
She snatches that one away.
I guess it was the right choice, pulling Groom over to the D-line.
The trick now for Phoenix is turning it into a break. They do have most of the full field to go, and a missed throw from Stanland kind of splits the difference between a couple of different cutters, finds its way only to the turf. Taggart finds that reset, now in the hands of Johnston. Molly being very patient. Working it in these tight handler spaces. This time, though, pressing for the end zone. That's a jump ball. Who comes down with it? Nobody. It's knocked down. A lot of contact. So it looks like we will have a foul call. That was Melissa Devlin who found herself on the deck after the play.
Yeah, that one was pretty chaotic.
Lila, you'll have to chime in. I thought you were to the inside of Melissa, so I thought it would have had to be Rev or Claire that hit you.
I didn't touch it.
Okay.
I was definitely sandwiched between you two like this.
That's why I didn't think Lila was behind you.
I did feel some contact. I felt like I also went straight up. Like I feel like I got to the spot and went up.
I don't think it was on my hand. I think it was.
Right, and I feel like okay.
Okay.
I understand that. I guess you want to play as a contested foul. Or you want to go?
You can contest. You can come to me.
None of us.
Really, no. Yeah, that's what I'm asking. Like,
contested foul.
Okay, so it's foul contest. We're gonna go back to the throw. Where we were when the throw went off.
So the result of the play is a contested foul. Kelsey, what are your thoughts?
I think when you have 5 people jumping up, there's going to be some incidental contact. I don't know that I would agree with that decision, but the decision of the throw, but also the decision of the call, I don't know that a foul can really happen. I mean, a foul can happen, but I don't know if a foul is really good to call in that scenario when you just have 5 people jumping up for a ball. But, you know, they had a good discussion, and they seemed to listen to each other's points and then make a decision.
So Molly keeps the disc after the call. And now just outside the end zone. Johnston slices that forehand through Julia Schmaltz there for the score.
I love that throw. That was so good. Really nice little step out. Just slip it in there between all the chaos that was happening in the end zone.
So Molly really feels like they got a break there, as you said, Kelsey. That pretty questionable jump ball in the pile ends up allowing them to keep the disc. But what a throw from Malika Johnston.
Yeah, there was so much happening in the middle of the field, so it was really good for her to see past all of that and find her receiver in the end zone.
I do want to talk a little bit more about that foul call, Kelsey, because it just feels like a weird one to me when, as you said, there's a pile of 5 players. You really have no idea who contacted you, you know, especially if you're seeing your contact from the back. We had the benefit of the camera angle where it looked like all the Phoenix players jumped pretty much straight up in the air.
Yep.
To me, that seems like a moment where you'd really like to see, you know, players going to the observer who has the perspective of the whole play.
I agree. I think you either go to the observer or you acknowledge that that wasn't a great throw decision, and you shouldn't necessarily get bailed out with a foul call, a contested foul call.
And after that point, we are back in a heat timeout, and what a perfect opportunity to thank Breakmark for helping us bring you our streams all weekend long here at the Pro Championships. Breakmark's bundles are the best way to get a full, affordable Ultimate kit for your team. Get a dark, light, shorts, and a free reversible, and get entered to win free team prizes. Everything your team needs to play good and look great. Get your order started at breakmark.com. Here is a look at the game to this point. Molly Brown up 12-8. What are the telling stats here to your eye, Kelsey?
You know, I'm actually surprised to see that Molly Brown has had 11 turnovers. You know, Phoenix having 14, that feels about right. It doesn't actually feel like Molly Brown has had as many, but I suppose they did have a bunch at the beginning of the game. The break chances, you know, Phoenix only converting on 3 of 8 break chances, while Molly Brown's converted on 6 of 9. You know, that's going to be the difference maker for sure. But, you know, the clean holds, their match. So it is a good matchup. Molly Brown has just converted more, and Phoenix has just had these unforced errors that I'm sure they're going to look back and kick themselves for.
You You mentioned the turnovers, Kelsey, from Phoenix. So many of them unforced, and they have been killer.
Just overthrows and drops and miscues, and it's really hard to recover from that. When you have a team like Molly Brown, they're absolutely going to capitalize on these turfed kind of throws. You know, resets have been really challenging for Phoenix, and not because Molly Brown has necessarily applied a crazy amount of pressure in the reset space. They've just not been executing these very simple looks.
And not just reset space, Kelsey, but reset space early in points.
Yes.
Where you give Molly Brown such a short field to capitalize on. Phoenix really has gifted Molly Brown this lead in a lot of different ways.
Absolutely.
So the O-line, that has certainly had its struggles. I mean, at this point, it feels like they have to get holds if they're going to have any sort of chance of giving the D-line a chance to get them back in the game. That reset sacrifices a lot of yards. Meisner having to jog back after it. Backus is able to get Meisner for the reset. Good work by Powell, giving that one just enough float for Lyman to get it, and then squeezing through the double defense for Groom. Junks makes a stumbling grab. So a chaotic few throws from Phoenix, but they maintain possession. And Meisner just outside the end zone. Nice little pop pass for Lyman, and Phoenix survives a few little half scares, but they do get the clean holds.
Yeah, I guess technically it was clean, but it felt pretty chaotic. You know, it worked out in the end, but I do think that, you know, they really struggled to find a look a few times, and they had to reset it and lose a lot of yards. But you know what? It worked, and it's the kind of clean hold that they definitely need at this stage in the game.
A goal for Lyman, who continues to put up a decent stat line. She has had a couple of those turnovers as well. He got the assist. A look at Valeria coming off the side as well. Molly Brown knows it's all in their court. They just need to see a few more holds, and they will be pro champions.
Yeah, it's absolutely their game to lose, but I'm sure they're deeply aware of how much Phoenix wants this, and it's really going to come down to some nice, clean holds on their part as well to keep that lead and not give Phoenix the opportunity.
And head coach David Allison pulling double duty. Going to have the baby on the back, perhaps for the rest of this game. Maybe some extra inspiration needed there for Phoenix.
Extra inspiration, maybe a little coaching for the kid so that she's ready when it's her turn to be on Phoenix in a few years. You know, just getting her that big game experience.
You have to know David Allison's kids are going to be great coaches someday.
Great coaches, great players.
That throw getting away, but away enough that the second cutter is there to save it. Fortunate break for Molly Brown on that missed throw, and now they're off to the races. That one popping up in the air again, but again finding the secondary cutter. I'm not sure how many passes Molly Brown completed to the intended target. They won't care. Eliza Minor there for the goal.
Again, that was a clean hold, but it felt a little sketchy. It all worked out in the end, but like you said, I don't know that the intended receiver actually caught the disc very often. It was a stressful one with these floaty passes.
That's definitely getting away from Pelletier, but perhaps that was for the better because Murphy in pretty good position to make a defensive play on loss to the intended target.
Yeah, I mean, and good on for the other cutters to be heads up and recognize that they have to go and collect some junk. They were aware, and Molly Brown has been playing really good Team D and Team O. They're there to help each other out whenever things go awry.
And I beg your pardon, that was Cassie Swafford, the intended receiver on the play, but Eliza Minor, the one who made the goal all the same. So perhaps it's just Molly Brown's day when you're getting completions like we saw on that point.
Yeah, things definitely seem to be dropping well for them, but I don't want to discredit their effort and their talent, and it's really the smart plays that they've been making all day that have got them to this point.
And now just 2 points away from the win over Phoenix. Johnson not quite doing a full 360, but a little flourish after the pull. Meisner gains power position, sends the backhand downfield right away, but that's knocked to the ground defensively by Ni Win. Nearly snatched back by Powell. Not sure how Taggart was the one who came up with that. Reset throw all the way across the field again. Molly Brown connecting with the backup receiver. Chastain in tight to win. Molly Brown looking for what would be a back-breaking break, but that one behind Henderson. Phoenix just survives.
I think that point, or that possession, sorry, was a really good example of what we've talked about, what Molly Brown has been doing really well, which is holstering when they should holster. You know, Claire Chastain had the opportunity to throw it deep, saw Cammie Groom was on the receiver, and held back and just went for the swing.
Lyman takes her chance to hook one deep, but that's too far for Backus. It's a couple of times we've seen that line drive just a bit too low out of the hand of Lyman.
Molly Brown with a big chance here now. They have most of the field to go, but not the kind of opportunity you want to give them at this stage in the game.
Couple of big gainers on the far side has Molly once again approaching the red zone. Really nice reset. Well, it looked, but just a little out of the reach of Taggart. Good defensive pressure on the mark. And then a tough one, just again, a lazy connection from Phoenix in the backfield space. How many times have we seen that this game?
Yeah, those ones hurt, you know, they had the opportunity. I also think Molly Brown is very lucky that Phoenix didn't pick up the disc quickly, because Ella Youngst was about 20 yards down the field all alone for a few seconds. So huge opportunity squandered there by Phoenix.
So every time it looks like the Phoenix O has maybe figured things out, those reset issues show their ugly face again.
You know, Daniel, if you were in that Phoenix huddle right now and you were talking to your team, what would you say to try to rally them back into this game?
I'm really not sure, Kelsey. I mean, I imagine at this point, you know, the team leadership has just about emptied the bag on things to say at this point. But, you know, at 13-9, when you're still just kind of throwing those lazy resets, when you know they've been such an issue in this game, I'm not sure if you just, you know, start putting different players out there. I mean, I don't know who else you can put back there if you're Phoenix. You have, you know, your trusted handler group, and perhaps it would be too damaging to, you know, future confidence to sub them out. But just to see the same mistakes time and time again, really has to be frustrating for so many players and coaches on this team.
Absolutely, and I mean, it hasn't been a clean point for either team this time around. That's for certain. But now it's Molly Brown again with the opportunity. They're already over half, and you know, a couple more mistakes by Phoenix, and this game might be put in the bag.
Yeah, Phoenix has to find a way of getting this back and clawing their way to a hold, because a 14-9 deficit certainly feels too large to overcome. All in the handler space so far from Molly. Phoenix in a bit of a zony look. Patient so far from Molly. Molly content to just keep pinging it around in that handler space. Now a little bit of space, but Johnston slows it down. And Phoenix just not really doing anything to take away those simple resets. So Molly patient to just kind of run clock here. There's a bit of a gainer. Chastain to Phillips, and she drops it back to Taggart. So Phoenix making Molly work slow, but not really putting any pressure on the disc. Looks like they're going to stay in this defense as well. No, the late fire call, and that's just too late.
Yeah.
Far, far too late, and it leads to a very easy score for Taggart. So miscalculation strategically from Phoenix on the other side of that timeout, and Molly burn a lot of clock and get a pretty easy hold as well.
Yeah, it was an interesting look at this stage in the game. You know, it was effective in that they had to make a lot of passes, but there was really nothing lost and nothing gained. You know, they weren't challenging the passes themselves. They were just forcing horizontal movement rather than getting down the field. And I don't know if they were hoping that Molly Brown would have some of those execution errors that have riddled Phoenix all game, but Molly Brown easily weathered the storm and took the 30 passes that it took and really looked patient, calm, and just waited for the opportunity.
Yeah, Molly just never really even had to work that hard with that possession, taking advantage of the 9th O-line turnover from Phoenix.
9 O-line turnovers, that is going to make for a pretty tough game. And as we've seen, it's now made for a 5-point deficit, and Molly Brown is on the doorstep of this championship.
And Taggart, the goal scorer on that last point, her second of the game. Molly Brown on the verge of being back-to-back Pro Champs champions. They're starting to make this their tournament, Kelsey. They won last year. The last time we had the Pro Championships before that, back in 2019, had a furious comeback against Fury, if you'll pardon the pun. That one was stopped just short due to weather stoppage. They seized the momentum, and it really felt like they were going to come back and potentially win that game, but stopped short by a pretty crazy storm. So Molly Brown, no strangers to being in the final on the stage and playing really well. And Kelsey, we talked about how Phoenix, this is their first real test in a big final like this. I think a failing grade, right?
A failing grade, but an important experience. I think that you need to have some failures in big moments before you can really have those successes. I wouldn't be fair for a team to just walk up and never fail before they succeed. They're a young team, they're a talented roster, and I think that they need to have these big moments and falter in these big moments in order to gain the mental fortitude to then have the success and to become the champions eventually. I have no doubt that Phoenix is going to be in this situation many, many more times in the future. So I think it's a good experience, even though it's a tough pill to swallow right now.
And perhaps we should not pen their memorial just yet. Game not quite over, but it will require a comeback that would go down in history. Down 14-9. Needing to score the rest of the goals from here on out. And this has just been the case all game long for Phoenix. Just so infrequently able to get big plays going. Having to work just so much in the handler space. They're a nice gainer. Cammie Groom really been the only consistent outlet for Phoenix downfield at all in this game. Sarah Mextroff putting in work in the backfield. We've seen most of her impact downfield, but showcasing her well-rounded game. Backus splits the defense, puts Groom right on the goal line. Nice work from Meisner. Wriggles free and then finds Jungst all alone in the end zone. I believe our first goal from Jungst really had a quiet game to this point, Kelsey.
I think you're right. And I think that's part of Phoenix's struggles right now, is that they kind of seem like a fish out of water, and Jungst hasn't been able to wiggle free. You know, she's had tough matchups on her for sure, and then the struggles that we've seen that are so uncharacteristic, you know, they're just not playing like themselves. Normally it's, you know, name a more iconic duo than Jungst in the end zone, but she really hasn't done too much today, although a nice slice through the middle there to hit her for that goal.
And that is confirmed. That is her first goal of the game. But beyond just scoring goals, it feels like she's barely had a touch in this one.
I agree.
So I think you have to credit the Molly Brown defense from just really taking away the Phoenix Cutters, just completely erasing them from having an impact on this game for the most part.
Yeah, I think that it's very obvious Molly Brown came in with a really solid game plan. They've taken away the right players. They've also, if you've noticed, they've given Groom more unders, but then once Groom has it on the sideline or in a challenging situation, they really lock down on the resets. So they're really trying to play to their own strengths and play to the small weaknesses, I will say, or the little bits they can in the Phoenix's roster. You know, they're trying to find the holes where they can, and I think they've really exploited them this game.
Cap is officially on, but will have no impact on the final score of this game. We are playing with no hard cap, so Molly will have to score to win. They'll have plenty of chance to do that, and a huge gainer for Eater flips the field for them. Swafford hits Nelson. Molly about 10 yards away from going back-to-back at the Pro Championships, but play will pause for the moment. See the conversation between Nelson and Strick. Looks like players ready to get it back underway.
Looks like the stall count's coming back in at 1, which is a little bit of a bailout for Molly Brown, I think.
Talk about a bailout, though. First throw. Turnover. Phoenix does get a chance at a break at least. Bit just short from Perez. Claravere chewing up yards. Claravere had Strick deep, but nice mark from Perez prevented the throw from getting off. Confusion between the Cutters as Strick and Nextroth clatter into each other. And that just kind of encapsulates what kind of day it's been for Phoenix when they've had the disc. Easy yardage the other way for Molly Brown. Down pops in the air. Smith not able to make a real bid on it, but the throw still goes over the head of Swafford.
And that door is still open.
Smith able to catch up to that reset from Barnett. The give and go attempt with Nextroth and Smith, but blocked by Swafford at the point of attack. Usually that one is going to be a foul, and it looks like there will be no contest. So Mextroth will still have some steps once play is back underway. We'll see if Smith can get it to her, if Molly Brown is able to recover defensively in time. Looks like they are a nice mark from Swafford to stop that easy one. High stall prayer put all the way across. Does find its way to Mextroth. A little loose from that with that throw is Revere, but Barnett had enough space to make the play. Phoenix is a few yards away from a break to keep them in this one. With a throw into traffic, Nelson there to deny it. Such patient work from Phoenix for much of that point, but right at the pivotal moment, the miscues return.
Yeah, that one is so tough. You know, they had some players open earlier in that possession near the red zone, and it's a shame that it ended that way.
Sliding grab from Wilmoth has Molly Brown out near midfield. And then a saved play by Minor. Awkward push pass from Minor does not work. So the Phoenix D gets the disc back. Smith uncorks the monster backhand. Couple of players for Phoenix there. Strick makes the grab. The continue pops up, but Colton is able to reel it in for the score anyway. And Phoenix, if they're going to pull off the comeback, they had to have that one, and they do get it.
You know, if I was trying to pick one word to describe that entire point, I'd have to go with chaos. On both sides, neither team were really making very comfortable passes or easy decisions. You know, it ended in Phoenix's favor, but what a back and forth that was. Both teams had so many opportunities.
And we've not seen Phoenix come out on top of many points like that, those ones that have gone back and forth.
Definitely, but, you know, Molly Brown gave them the opportunity, that's for sure. And the game is not over. You know, 14-11 story sounds a lot better than where we were just a few minutes ago.
And after the long point, Phoenix calls their last timeout, so they will not be able to buy any extra breathers for that D-line.
It's definitely now or never, so makes sense that they would take it and talk about their strategy for the last few points.
It'll be interesting to see how they use their depth over these final points if they're able to push it further into this game. They do have a couple of different defensive lines they feel comfortable trotting out, but Kelsey, you'd expect that they'll have to maybe send the O-line out there for a D point if they're able to force this one all the way to Universe.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if they'll stick to their strict lines at all right now, or just kind of put some power lines together, because like we said, there's no room for error anymore. It's now or never, so they need the right people on the field, and that might be some of the same people for a few points in a row.
Might have to get the baby out there for a point or two down the stretch.
You got to do what you got to do.
She does look ready to go if her number is called. For now, though, a pretty standard-looking D-line. Stanlin, who's been pulling all game long for Phoenix, will send it down. Another crack for the Molly O, looking for their second straight Pro Champs title. That throw a tough one, but saved. Nice play by Devlin. Looks like we have a call on the field, going to send the disc back. Devlin checks it back live.
Definitely feels like Phoenix has ramped up the pressure defensively, finally.
Inside throw, really impressive toss to find Chastain. Wynn gains some yardage. She drops it back to Chastain. Another diving grab to save possession. Taggart once again makes the play. Big grab from Chastain as well. And again, Taggart. Molly not making it easy, but there it is. They punch in the game-winning score. Ni Wynn reels it in. Molly Brown go back-to-back at the Pro Championships.
Wow, and that one was well earned, putting their bodies on the line on that very hot turf to save possession over and over again, and Phoenix just could not stop this powerful Molly Brown squad.
Several straight big grabs to end it in emphatic fashion. Chastain to Taggart. A little bit easier for Wynn in the end. Nice game from Ni Wynn. Impressive performance across the board from Molly Brown.
You know, we were hoping for an exciting matchup, and while it wasn't as tight as we hoped for, it was still exciting nonetheless. Some big plays made by a lot of players, and I know Phoenix will go home disappointed, but as I've said before, they've gained a lot from having this big game experience, and as I've said, sometimes you got to fail before you can fly. So this is a big one for them, and it's only going to build their strength as a team.
We'll take one final look at the stats of the game. You see both teams pretty near each other in break chances, but Molly Brown just so much more efficient than Phoenix to get that comfortable lead and able to hold it the entire second half, Kelsey.
Yeah, you know, what stands out actually to me from these stats as well is just the total turnovers is not low for either team, but the turnovers felt different for each team. You know, Molly Brown's turnovers, you know, they of course never wanted them, but they were different in that they weren't so mentally defeating as Phoenix's turnovers. Phoenix's turnovers were largely on very easy resets, on open throws, on easy opportunities squandered, and I think that can really hurt you mentally throughout the game.
And one of the stars of the game in that Molly Brown performance, Lisa Pitt-Caithley. We have Kelsey Percy down in the field with her right now.
So here at the women's final, Kelsey Percy with Lisa Pitt-Caithley. Lisa, Phoenix got off to a bit of a start, and then you just went on a roll. Loved the response from Molly here at the finals. You had some really strong individual efforts, but one of the things that when we were talking about earlier, really highlighting the team strengths here. What do you think your team did really well? What was your plan going in?
Yeah, okay, so if you saw us, sorry, I won't hold that. If you saw us last weekend, we were in a bit of a hole, and we talked a lot over the week, and we were just like really down, and we were thinking about, okay, how are we going to respond to this big weekend of Pro Champs, right? Last tournament of
It's your tune-up.
What?
It's your tune-up. It's your chance to dial in.
So we made some tweaks, and we knew that we just like really wanted to become this defensive team, and we really wanted other teams to feel us. So that was a big focus, and we also really wanted to focus on getting our deep game back because we really lost it last weekend. So yeah, that was kind of our game time plan, and we really just wanted to be also super active on the sidelines and just really be there for each other.
Yeah, excellent job. So Nationals, next tournament up, is there anything that you will be doing specifically to prepare for that big tournament? Obviously teams really looking to peak at that point.
Yeah, I think we just got to keep focusing on like the getting better part. That's all we're really focusing on, right? We're not trying to be perfect because we know we're never going to be that. But we're going to try. And yeah, I think just like always kind of rising up and keep rising to the occasion. And I'm really happy last weekend happened. It really taught us a lesson. And, you know, we also didn't play perfect, but I think we responded really well when we were, you know, turned it over on that first point, or turned it over a bunch of times on the first point. We're like, okay, this is what we want. And kind of having that growth mindset of, okay, we're in a rut, but like, let's grind, let's crawl out of here together.
I thought you responded with really good energy. So again, Kelsey Percy with Lisa McCaifley. Thank you so much, Lisa.
Thank you so much, Lisa. Thank you so much, Kelsey. Really impressive performance from Molly Brown, knocking off Raleigh Phoenix. Impressive defensive performance from them. Phoenix really struggling to get any kind of rhythm downfield at all throughout that entire game. They come up just short. Molly Brown, back-to-back champions now at the USAU Pro Championships. They will try to recapture that success at Nationals, hunting their first national championship in October. That does us for the women's division, but we have the mixed final coming up on Ulti World, and plenty more action to come. With Kelsey Hayden, I have been Daniel Prentice. Thank you so much for tuning in.